The grand palace of Xylar Prime stood tall under the twin moons. Inside its marble halls, warriors from across the stars waited, but no one stepped forward. All had come to bond with the alien Princess Sara, yet none dared. Princess Sara sat on a silver throne. A long veil of shining fabric covered her face. No one had ever seen her. Her voice was soft but cold when she spoke. Her presence made even the strongest men uneasy. The people whispered many stories about her. Some said her face was too beautiful for mortal eyes. Others said it was cursed. Anyone who looked at it would suffer a terrible fate, so no one dared to bond with her. Then a human arrived. His name was Jack Carter. He was not a prince or a famous warrior, but a soldier from Earth. He wore no shining armor, just a simple jacket. But there was something strong in his eyes. He was not afraid. The court fell silent as Jack walked forward. He looked straight at Sara. She spoke, her voice soft and steady. "Will you bond with me, human, without seeing my face?" Jack didn't hesitate. "Yes," he said. Gasps filled the hall. The alien nobles whispered to each other. Some laughed. Others looked shocked. The bravest warriors of many worlds had refused, but this human agreed so easily. The Xylar King, sitting on a high throne beside Sara, leaned forward. "Do you know what you are agreeing to, human?" he asked. Jack nodded. "Yes, you ask for trust. I offer it." The king smiled, but his eyes were cold. "If you bond with my daughter, you will never ask to see her face. If you do, the bond will break, and you will die." "I understand," Jack replied. "But I have one request too." The court fell silent again. Human making demands. "Impossible." Jack spoke firmly. "If I honor this bond, Princess Sara must also honor a deal. Xylar Prime must stand with Earth in the coming war." The king's face darkened. He didn't like being challenged. But Sara raised her hand. "I agree," she said, her voice calm. "If you bond with me, Xylar Prime will fight beside Earth." A murmur ran through the court. No one expected this. Human, a simple soldier, was making deals with a royal house. The princess agreed. The deal was set. The court was dismissed. The guests left slowly, whispering about the strange event. That night, as Jack stood alone on the palace balcony, a cold wind touched his face. The stars above him were bright, but he felt the weight of the choice he had made. Footsteps approached it. Was Princess Sara. Even now, her face was hidden beneath her silver veil. "Why did you agree so quickly?" she asked. Her voice was gentle now, almost sad. Jack turned to her. "You needed someone who trusted you," he said, "and my people need your help. So, I made the deal. But you don't even know me," Sara whispered. "True," Jack admitted. "But I believe that honor means keeping your promise even when you don't know everything." Sara was silent for a moment. Then she stepped closer. "Many have feared me, human, but you are different." Jack smiled. "Maybe because I don't care about the stories, care about actions." Sara nodded slowly. "Then our deal begins." Now, Jack extended his hand, but she hesitated. "Are you not curious?" she asked. "Do you not want to see my face?" Jack shook his head. "I made a promise. I will keep it." Sara lowered her head, almost as if she was hiding tears. "You are the first, the only one who ever said that." In that quiet moment, something passed between them, silent understanding. This was not just a bond for politics or war. It was a bond built on trust. Far above them, the stars continued to shine, cold and bright. But in the palace below, a new story was beginning. A human and an alien princess, tied together by honor and a promise. Jack knew that the real test would come soon. But for now, he had done what no other being had dared. He had accepted the deal of honor. Without seeing her face, the next day, the palace of Xylar Prime was quiet. But Jack could feel that something was wrong. Servants passed him quickly in the halls, their eyes lowered. Guards watched him closely. The air felt heavy, even Princess Sara, behind her shining silver veil, seemed distant when they met. Jack tried not to think about it. He had made a promise, and he would keep it. He did not need to know all the secrets, or so he told himself. That night, when he returned to his guest room, a strange thing happened. A knock came at the door, soft and careful. Jack opened it and saw an old Xylarian man. His skin was pale blue, and his eyes glowed faintly in the dark. He wore long robes and carried a staff. Jack could tell right away that this was no ordinary servant. "Human," the old man whispered. "May I speak with you?" Jack stepped aside, letting him in. The old man closed the door slowly. He leaned forward and spoke again, his voice soft but full of warning. "You are brave or foolish." Jack crossed his arms. "Why do you say that?" The old man looked at him carefully. "You agreed to bond with Princess Sarah." Without seeing her face, Jack nodded. "Yes, I did." The old man sighed deeply. "Then I must warn you, before it's too late." Jack felt a chill run down his spine. "Warn me about what?" The old man lowered his voice. Her face is not what you think. It is dangerous, yes, but not because of a curse, because of what it hides. Jack frowned. "What do you mean?" But the old man shook his head. "I cannot tell you more. If they know I spoke to you, I will be punished. I have said too much already." Jack stepped closer. "Wait, please tell me everything." The old man's eyes filled with fear. "You must leave this palace now, before the bonding is complete. If you stay, you will regret it." Without another word, the old man turned and quickly left the room. The door closed behind him with a quiet click. Jack stood there alone, heart racing. What did he mean? What was Princess Sarah hiding? The warning stayed in Jack's mind all night. He could not sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her silver veil and wondered what was behind it. The next morning, Sarah came to see him. Her voice was soft. "As ever, are you ready for the bonding ceremony, Jack?" Jack looked at her carefully. Her silver veil glowed softly in the morning light. "Tell me, Sarah," he said slowly, "why does everyone fear your face?" Sarah was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "Because they do not understand it." Her answer was simple, but it did not make Jack feel any better. Still he nodded. "I am ready." But in his heart he wondered, should he trust the princess, or should he listen to the old man's warning? As they walked together toward the grand hall for the ceremony, the eyes of every noble, every guard, followed them. Whispers filled the air. No one trusted a human. No one believed he would survive this bond. But Jack kept walking. His mind was full of doubt, but his heart told him to stay strong. And in that moment, Sarah spoke again very softly, almost as if she could read his thoughts. "You doubt me, don't you?" she asked. Jack paused, then answered honestly, "Yes." "But I made a promise." Sarah nodded slowly, her silver veil shining as she moved. "Then hold to that promise, Jack Carter. Even when it becomes hard." Her words made Jack pause. Why would she say that? Why would she warn him herself? Something was very wrong here. But Jack knew he could not turn back now. The deal of honor had been made. The silent warning had been given. And the real test was just beginning. The grand hall was filled with strange music as Jack stood beside Princess Sarah. All around them, nobles from across the galaxy watched in silence. The bonding ceremony was about to begin, but Jack's mind was not calm. The old Xylarian's warning echoed in his thoughts. Her face is not what you think. And then there were Sarah's own strange words. Even when it becomes hard. Why would she say that? Did she know something terrible would happen? Jack kept his face calm. But inside, doubt grew like a shadow. The Xylar King stood and raised his hands. "The bond will now be sealed," he said loudly. "The human will speak his vow first." Jack took a deep breath. He looked at Sarah, whose face was still hidden behind the silver veil. He spoke the words clearly. "I vow to honor this bond. I will not ask to see her face. I will stand beside her in peace and in war." The hall remained silent. Then Sarah began her vow. But before she could finish, a sudden noise interrupted the ceremony. A loud crash. Everyone turned. At the far end of the hall, a figure appeared. Tall, dressed in dark armor, glowing eyes, an alien warrior. His voice boomed through the hall. "Stop this bonding. The human is unworthy." Gasps filled the air. The guards drew their weapons. The warrior stepped forward. "I am Lord Kryn of the Drathok. I claim the right to challenge." The Xyler King did not smile. "This is unexpected, but it is law. If you wish to challenge, you may. The winner shall bond with my daughter." Sara lowered her head. Jack felt anger rise in his chest. But he knew he could not refuse. To refuse was dishonor. Kryn stepped closer. His armor was heavy, and his claws were sharp. "You do not know what you are marrying, human," Kryn growled. "She is not what she seems." Jack clenched his fists. His heart raced. But he stood his ground. "I keep my promises," he said simply. Kryn laughed. "Then fight me for her." The crowd moved aside, forming a large circle. The challenge would happen here now. Before all, Jack took a deep breath. He was smaller, less strong, but he had trained for battle many times on Earth. As they circled each other, Kryn spoke again, low and dangerous. "Even if you win, human, your reward will destroy you." Jack's doubt grew deeper. Why did everyone keep warning him? Was Sara truly cursed? Jack glanced at Sara. She stood quietly, her silver veil glowing, her hands folded. Was she hiding sadness or guilt? But there was no time for more thought. Kryn attacked. The alien warrior moved fast, striking with claws and fists. Jack ducked, rolled, and fought back. His moves were quick and smart. He couldn't match Kryn's strength, but he could outthink him. The crowd watched, amazed. A human fighting a Drathok warrior, for the honor of bonding with the hidden princess? After a long struggle, Jack saw an opening. With one swift move, he tripped Kryn and knocked him flat. Silence, then a cheer. The Xyler King raised his hand. "It is done. The human has won the challenge." But Jack did not feel joy. As he caught his breath, he looked again at Sara. Why did she still look sad? Why did the challenge feel like a test and not just a fight? At that moment, Sara stepped forward. She whispered so only Jack could hear, "Now, your real test begins." Jack's heart beat faster. What did she mean? Before he could ask, the bonding ceremony resumed. The Xyler King spoke again, but his words felt distant to Jack. In his mind, the shadow of doubt was growing larger. But he had made a promise. And Jack Carter was a man who kept his word no matter what was coming. Asterisk after the duel, Jack Carter was celebrated as the victor. Nobles raised their glasses. Music filled the air again. The court smiled politely. But Jack could feel their cold stares behind the smiles. But Princess Sara was quiet as the bonding ceremony ended. She stepped close to Jack and whispered, "Follow me. There is something you must see before the night ends." Jack felt his heart tighten. She spoke calmly, but her voice carried sadness. Without hesitation, he followed her through a side door, away from the curious eyes of the court. They walked through empty halls, the marble floors echoing. Beneath their steps, the glow of the torches along the walls made shadows dance around them. Finally, they reached a small room round, with no windows. In the center stood a tall mirror covered by a black cloth. "Why have you brought me here?" Jack asked carefully. Sara turned to face him. Even now, she wore the silver veil. She raised a hand to touch it gently. "This is where my story begins," she said. Her voice trembled for the first time. Jack watched closely. She moved to the mirror and placed one hand on the black cloth. She did not pull it away. Instead, she spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. "Long ago, my people did not fear my face. I was just a child. But one day a visitor came from another galaxy, a man who looked human, but was not." Jack listened carefully. "That man cursed me," she continued. "Not with magic, but with a mark. A mark burned onto my face for all to see. This mark became a symbol of shame. When my people saw it, they turned away. Even my father, the king, demanded that I cover myself. Jack frowned. A mark. What kind of mark? Sarah's hands trembled. A mark that shows betrayal. A mark that proves my people once made a terrible deal, that they chose to forget it. Jack felt a chill. He stepped closer. So your veil is not because of your beauty or a curse, but because of their guilt. Sarah nodded. Yes, and when I wear it, I carry their shame. Jack felt anger rise in him, not at her, but at the cold nobles who whispered about her and hid behind their fear. Why tell me this? Now? He asked gently. Sarah's voice was soft but clear. Because soon, you will be asked to prove your loyalty again. It will tempt you. They will offer you everything: riches, power, freedom, if you walk away. Jack's eyes narrowed. And if I refuse? Sarah lowered her head. Then they will test your courage in another way. Cruel way. Jack took a deep breath. He stepped forward and gently took her hand. I made a promise, he said firmly. I won't leave. I won't break it. Sarah finally looked up at him, though her veil still hid her face. Jack could almost feel her tears. No one has ever said that to me before, she whispered. Jack smiled gently. Then I'm glad I'm the first. But even as he spoke, footsteps echoed outside the chamber. The door opened slowly. A royal guard entered. His face was cold and hard. The king commands your presence, he said to Jack. Now. Jack glanced at Sarah. Her hands tightened around his. Be careful, she whispered. This is where their next test begins. Without another word, the guard led Jack away. Back through the cold halls of the palace, but in Jack's mind, the weight of doubt remained heavy. Why did everyone fear her face? What would this new test be? One thing was certain. Jack Carter would keep his word, no matter what he faced next. The royal guard led Jack through cold, quiet halls back to the throne room. But this time, the room felt darker, as if shadows themselves watched from every corner. The Xyler King sat on his throne, his golden crown shining. He did not smile, Jack. Carter, the king said slowly, you have shown courage. You won the challenge. But before the bond is complete, there is one final task. Jack stood tall. What task? The king raised a hand. We call it the game of truth. You must answer one question, and you must answer it honestly. If you lie, the bond will be broken, and you will die. Whispers spread across the room. The nobles watched closely, eager to see if the human would fail. Jack nodded. Ask your question. The king's eyes narrowed. Do you truly trust Princess Sarah? Without ever seeing her face. The question hung in the air like a heavy stone. Jack's heart pounded. The old priest's warning echoed in his mind. Her face is not what you think. He thought about the duel with Lord Kryn, who had shouted, even if you win, your reward will destroy you. Even Sarah's own words returned. You doubt me, don't you? Jack could feel the eyes of every noble on him, waiting for his answer. Did he trust her? Finally, Jack spoke. His voice was calm but clear. Yes, he said, I trust her. The room went silent. The king leaned forward. Even though she hides her face, even though no one dares look upon her? Jack nodded. Yes, I trust her, because I gave my word. The king sat back. For a moment, he said nothing. Then he waved his hand. Very well, the king said quietly. You have passed. A deep bell rang in the hall. The final part of the bonding ceremony was to begin. But as Jack turned, a servant rushed into the room. Your Majesty? The servant cried, There's an attack at the palace gates. Chaos erupted. Guards grabbed weapons. Nobles fled the hall. But Princess Sarah did not move. She stood still beside Jack, her silver veil glowing in the torchlight. Jack turned to her. Are you safe here? He asked. Sarah shook her head. Psst, no, they come for me. Not for my father. Jack felt his pulse quicken. Then we must leave. The king's voice cut through the noise. Jack Carter, take her away. Protect her. If she is captured, the war will begin. In that moment, Jack realized the truth. This was no accident. This was part of the test of final trial, to see if Jack would protect Sarah. Even without knowing her secret, Jack grabbed Sarah's hand. "Come with me," he said. Together, they ran through hidden corridors as shouts and footsteps echoed. Behind them, as they moved deeper into the palace, Sarah whispered, "You passed the game of truth. But the hardest truth still waits." Jack glanced at her. "What do you mean?" Sarah paused, her voice soft. "Soon, I will show you what no one else has seen." Jack felt a chill. Was she saying she would remove her veil? But there was no time for questions. Behind them, soldiers shouted, chasing them through the halls. Ahead, a secret passage opened, a dark tunnel leading away from the palace. Jack turned to Sarah. "Are you ready?" She nodded. "Yes. But when we reach the end of this tunnel, I will show you my face. And after that, everything will change." Jack's heart raced. He had trusted her this far. But could he keep trusting her when he finally saw the truth? The bond was almost complete, but the biggest test of all was just ahead. The tunnel was dark and cold. Jack Carter held Princess Sarah's hand tightly as they moved quickly through the stone passage. The sounds of battle above them grew faint, but in Jack's mind, questions became louder. Why did Sarah say she would show her face at the end of the tunnel? Why did everyone fear that moment? After some time, they reached a small wooden door. Sarah stopped. The only light came from a dim crystal fixed to the wall, casting a pale glow on her silver veil. Jack turned to her. "Are you all right?" he asked gently. Sarah nodded, but her hands trembled slightly. "Jack," she whispered, "when this door opens, I will reveal my face. No one else has ever seen it and lived. But you must know the full truth before you decide to stay." Jack's heart beat faster. "I made a promise, Sarah," he said. "I won't break it." Sarah looked down. "Even if what you see changes everything?" Jack didn't hesitate. Even then, she took a deep breath. "This tunnel leads not only outside the palace, but outside all lies. Once we cross this door, there can be no more secrets between us." Jack reached for the door handle but stopped when Sarah gently placed her hand on his arm. "Before we leave," she said softly, "I must tell you the story my people have hidden from everyone." Jack stood silently, listening. Sarah's voice was barely above a whisper. "Long ago, before I was born, Xyler Prime made a terrible agreement with a race called the Morinth. In exchange for their technology, my ancestors promised something unthinkable. They promised a life a royal heir." Jack's eyes widened. "Royal heir?" Sarah nodded slowly. "That heir was me." Her hand touched her silver veil gently. "But the Morinth left a mark on me before I was even born, a symbol burned into my skin. When my people saw that mark, they were ashamed. They called it a curse, forced me to hide my face." Jack took a slow breath. "So that's why everyone fears your face. It's not about beauty or danger. It's about that mark."
Oh.
Sarah nodded. "The mark is proof that my people sold their honor and sold me." Jack felt both anger and sadness rise inside him. He could only imagine what Sarah had endured her whole life. But before he could speak, Sarah stepped back and reached for her. "Veil Jack," she whispered, "you must look at me now. You must decide if you will still bond with me after seeing the truth." Her fingers trembled as she lifted the silver veil. Jack watched carefully. His heart pounded. He had imagined many things: horrible scars, strange alien features, but when the veil fell, he froze. Sarah's face was beautiful, but across her forehead, glowing softly, was a symbol, mark like fire. It wasn't ugly, it wasn't frightening. It was simply different. Her eyes met his, shining with tears. "This is why they fear me," she whispered. "This is why they call me cursed." Jack stepped forward without hesitation. He reached out and gently touched her cheek. "I don't care about this mark, Sarah," he said softly. "You are still you." Tears ran down Sarah's face. "You are the first to say that," she whispered. But before they could say more, a sudden noise came from behind the door. Jack turned quickly. Someone was there. The king's voice rang from the other side. Jack Carter, you have seen her face now. You must choose. Jack held Sarah's hand tightly. Choose what? The king's cold voice continued. Now that you know the truth, you can leave. You can walk away. Or you can stay and truly bond with the one we all fear. The choice was clear, but so was Jack's heart. He turned to Sarah, looking into her eyes. I told you I would keep my promise, he said, and I will. A smile soft and full of hope touched Sarah's lips. Jack turned back toward the door. He was ready for whatever test waited beyond it. The bond was no longer about fear or shame or politics. It was about trust. And Jack Carter would honor that trust, no matter the cost. Jack Carter stood in front of the old wooden door, holding Princess Sarah's hand tightly. Her silver veil was gone now. Her face was revealed at last, and it was not a curse. Her beauty was real. The glowing mark on her forehead was not ugly, but a reminder of her people's betrayal long ago. Jack saw pain in her eyes, and strength too. On the other side of the door, the king's voice still echoed. Now you know her secret, human. You can walk away. If you leave now, we will. Grant you a ship, gold, and freedom. But if you stay, you will share her shame forever. Sarah's fingers trembled in Jack's hand. She whispered, No one has ever stayed before. No one. Jack's heart felt heavy. The choice was his. The palace was silent, waiting. But for Jack, the choice was clear. He looked into Sarah's eyes and smiled gently. I gave my word, he said softly, and I keep my promises. Without another word, Jack pushed the door open. Guards stood on the other side, weapons ready. The Xyler nobles watched with cold, curious eyes. The king sat on his throne, his face hard and unreadable. But Jack didn't hesitate. He walked forward, holding Sarah's hand tightly. His voice was steady and clear as he spoke. I will stay. I will bond with Princess Sarah. I accept her and her mark. The court gasped. The king narrowed his eyes. Even though you now know the truth. Jack nodded firmly. Yes, because the truth makes her stronger, not weaker. For a long moment, the king said nothing. The whole hall was silent. Then slowly, the king rose from his throne. A strange expression crossed his face. Not anger, but something close to respect. Very well, the king said. You have passed every test. The bond is complete. The nobles murmured in shock. No one had expected this human to succeed. No one had expected him to stay true. Sarah turned to Jack, her eyes shining with tears, but this time they were tears of hope. For so long I believed I was cursed, she whispered. But you saw me and chose me. Jack smiled. No one should be judged by a mark on their skin, only by the heart inside. At that moment, Sarah raised her hand and gently touched the mark on her forehead. The glowing symbol slowly faded, disappearing into her skin. Gasps filled the room again. The king stepped forward. The mark was never truly a curse, he said. Quietly it remained because no one accepted her. But now, you have broken it. Jack looked at Sarah in amazement. Then, it's over. Sarah nodded, smiling. Yes, the curse is lifted. Because you chose to stay. The king raised his staff. From this day forward, Earth and Xyler Prime shall be allies, and this human shall stand as our prince. The crowd bowed low. The music returned, but this time it felt different, full of warmth. Jack and Sarah stood together in the center of the grand hall. The veil was gone. The curse was gone. Only trust remained, and so the human and the alien princess began their new life not out of fear or duty, but out of true honor and respect. The story of the man who dared to bond without seeing her face would be told across the stars for generations to come.